Så, då sitter vi här på GameX tillsammans med David Loado, en av männen från EA bakom det storslagna spelet Kingdoms of Amalur: The Reckoning. So David, in this game you've promised a mixture of God of War and The Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Do you understand what kind of hell you unleash when you promise such a game?
Sure, but I think that we actually managed to deliver some very responsive, fast action, second-to-second gameplay, and we combine that with deep, hardcore RPG systems.
Yeah, so we've got a chance to test being a portion of the game, and you find it's pretty easy to get into. It's pretty quick-based action, and you get into pretty quick. So exactly how story-driven will this be? How will there be multiple paths and like different endings and such things?
There are some moments where you have consequences that actually influence, say, whether or not somebody lives or dies, or what kind of rewards you get. I wouldn't say that the main focus of the game is on, a myriad of branching paths. It's not that kind of a game.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more straightforward, but there are those moments where you actually do get to make some choices.
Yeah. So basically, we've seen some elementally RPG stuff, running around, killing stuff, looting people. So how the customization of your character? How free will it be?
I mean, there's quite a bit of customization. So there's a variety of non-combat skills that you can use. Persuasion, stealth, detect hidden, things like that. Crafting. So there's a deep crafting system with. You can do alchemy, to make your own potions. You can create gems that can be socketed onto weapons. You can do blacksmithing if you want to make your own weapons. Or you could just, invest in a lot of, say, detect hidden and just find all the special stores of weapons that are hidden around the world. But in addition to that, then there's also, over 60 combat abilities that you can do. So these have all sorts of, there's a variety of these, both kind of passive things and direct spells that you can actually do. So you can unleash, giant meteor storms, for instance.
So basically, you can cater your character to be this brewed up type warrior or this kind of distance mage type.
Yeah, that's right. Really, Reckoning actually dispenses with the kind of traditional class system. So in a lot of games, you have to choose a class at the beginning, and then you're kind of stuck with it till the end. In Reckoning, actually, you start out with a blank slate, and really, as you level up, you are unlocking abilities, and these define what we call destinies. And destinies, think of it as kind of a class that you can actually arm at different times. So you can actually choose it on the fly. You can change it whenever you want, and these give you added offensive and defensive bonuses.
Yeah. So one of the particular elements that caught my eye was the stealth. Will there be any portions of the game where stealth is kind of mandatory, like sneaking around hidden base or anything like that?
No, we don't actually make it mandatory. I mean, aside from the tutorial moment where really you have to play it there just so that you learn about it. No, it's not that you have to, but it's a very handy actually skill to have. It's useful not just for taking out enemies sort of on the sly, but also for committing certain crimes like trespassing or stealing. It's really just one more kind of path, one more solution that you can embrace if you want.
Yeah. So that's another thing about the game. Crimes. We were able to see this function called the aggression mode.
That's right.
Where you're able to actually attack friendly
people.
Exactly. Who you are not so friendly to anymore. So how will this? Could you choose to play this game straight through as just a badass guy, just going around killing everybody who's actually nice?
Well, you could. There is actually consequences for these things. So there is a crime system. You will probably get caught, or at least end up killing all sorts of innocent people in the process. But there's a good chance that you'll end up going to jail if you're doing this all the time.
And then what happens if you go to jail?
Well, then you can either spend your time in jail, or you can actually pay some fines and get out, or you can try to lockpick your way out of it if you've got that skill.
So, saying you don't have a lockpick, you don't have the money to bribe, you'd actually just have to sit around waiting in jail until they let you out.
Yeah, you can actually choose to spend the time there. I don't actually remember exactly how the interface
but
works,
there's actually that option.
Yeah.
Wow. Crime is bad, kids.
Yeah, don't commit crime.
Do not or do. It's your choice in Reckoning.
It is your choice.
It's your choice. So another thing that's of course always warmly welcomed is cooperation play, multiplayer of any kind. Will Reckoning have any of that?
No, it's a single-player game.
Straight through.
Yeah, straight through. It just embraces sort of fulfilling the single player's fantasy.
Yeah. But how about replay value? Will playing another different type of archetype class or making another kind of moral choices, will that actually be a good enough reason to play the game all over again?
Well, I think certainly exploring, the many different abilities that you can do, split between might, finesse, and sorcery. There's quite a bit of game replay, I think, just in that. I think the different variety of weapon classes, so trying out things that, mages typically use, like scepters or staves or chakrams. It's like that's a pretty interesting thing to do versus your standard kind of fighter armaments. And then I think just on top of that, the sheer amount of kind of quests to do. You've got the mainline story that sort of reveals your reawakening on this pile of corpses, and follows your mystery, of who you were. That's the main quest. But there's also hundreds of side quests, and there's 6 different faction lines too. So each with their own kind of subplot and storyline. So there's quite a bit of content there to do. It's many hours.
Yeah. So that's another thing. The story. Is there anything more you can divulge? We basically start the game. Our newly created character awakening in a pile of half-deceased zombie corpses. I don't even know where to start. And he digs his way out of this, and then the game just keeps on rolling. Is there anything more about the story in particular you can divulge us in?
Well, there's a war going on in Amalur, and this is between the mortal races of men and elves, which you're one of, and this sort of race of immortal beings known as the Fae. So helping to resolve the war is certainly one of the tasks, I guess you might say, of your hero.
Because war is bad.
War is bad, except that it gives you a lot of good reasons to kill monsters and things.
And makes great games.
It makes great games, yeah. So it's not bad in that regard. I think. What were you asking? You were asking about the story. So I think resolving the war is certainly one, but there's a sense of mystery about who you were, and what the reasons were that you were actually died on a battlefield, and why and how you've come back to life. And I don't want to give any spoilers away, though.
Do you have any chance to choose sides in this war to actually affect who in the end wins?
You will end up affecting sort of the results of this. Let's put it that way. But it's not a. We won't say that it's a deep focus of the game to allow you to say help the evil people win.
Yeah, because being evil is always good.
Also
bad or good. I don't know. Let's leave the beautiful cake that is Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning at that. And also, just before we leave us, the game will be released when and for what platforms?
So it's in February of 2012 on the PC, the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3.
Där har ni det. Alla ni som älskade Dragon Age eller som bara tycker om att hugga sönder magiska varelser i ett land långt härifrån. Då håller ni andan för Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning.
What he said.